Our presentation is on oral language, phonetic awareness, and beginning reading. The first strategy is sound boxes for segmenting phonemes. There are 5 main steps involved in the implementation of the sound box strategy. To begin, prepare cards with simple illustrations along with a matrix that contains a box for each sound. There are 2 examples that can be seen below. Then collect tokens. They can be pennies, plastic chips, or anything that works. For each of your students, after letter recognition and letter sound correspondence begin to develop, place letters in the boxes, as seen in the duck example, leaving enough room for the chips not to cover the letters. Keep in mind that the word selected should be familiar to the students. The second step, instruct a small group starting off by demonstrating slowly, saying the word and pushing tokens into the boxes sound by sound. Model this process a second time. Next, invite the kids to slide the tokens into the boxes sound by sound as you slowly say the word, emphasizing each individual sound. The third step in this process is to provide another example. Encourage a student to identify a picture and then read the word out loud slowly, emphasizing each sound without distorting the word. Remind them to put a token in each box as they say the sound. For the fourth step, use another example to help students grasp the concept of phonemes. For step 5, utilize variations of this to solidify and expand students' abilities. You can eliminate boxes and have the students just move tokens to the bottom of the picture, say a word aloud and have the student repeat it and count the number of sounds on their fingers. And once students become more proficient, have them answer questions about the order of the sound in a specific word. For example, you could ask, what is the first sound you hear in the word duck? And the student could say, duck.
The next strategy will be segmenting onsets and rhymes. First, you will select or make illustrations of familiar rhyme words to make rhyming pairs that share the same initial letters. So for example, you can do words that start with the letter C, such as cat or cake, or you can do words that start with the letter R, such as rake or rat. Next, you will mix the pictures and have the students sort the pictures by their onsets. An onset is the initial phonological unit of any word. So the onset of the word cat will be k, and the onset of the word star would be st. Next, after the students have sorted the pictures into 2 columns, ask the students, what sound do you hear at the beginning of these words? Ask what letter makes the k and r sound, respectively, at the beginning of each group of sorted pictures. As the student responds, write a C and an R in a black on index cards, placing the corresponding letter over the group of rhyming pictures, as shown below. So in the column of cake and cat, there was a big C, and in the column of the rake and the rat, there was a big R. Next, gather the cards and have the students sort them according to their rhymes. The rhyme refers to the part of the word that comes after the first sound. So in the word spoil, the rhyme would be oil, and in the word split, the rhyme would be it. After all the rhyme pairs have been grouped together, place the index cards with the rhymes written in red above each set. So the rhyme of cake and rake would be ache, as you can see above that, and then the rhyme for cat and rat would be at. Finally, say each rhyme word, segmenting the onset from the rhyme. Model this process by saying k at and r at. This activity works best with small groups. You can extend the activity by having students take turns blending the correct onset card with the rhyme header card to form the word for the picture. And you can also extend the activity further by mixing the red rhyme cards and having students make rhyming words by blending the onsets and the rhymes.
Okay, so the article that we found for our topics was a study conducted by a graduate student who's receiving her master's degree, and what she was researching was increasing phonemic awareness in young students, specifically first graders. And so her goal of her research and her study was just to find different instructional strategies and methods that increase phonemic awareness, and actually one of them that the main research was about is using sound boxes, and that was one of our strategies that we had talked about. But So what she did was conduct a study of about 20 first graders and assess them on their phonemic awareness at the beginning and the end. And the experimental group used intervention with sound boxes to see if that was a good strategy. And so, but one thing that stood out to me was the instructional strategy of scaffolding. And so scaffolding is like where you have your student, and depending on their level of independence with a certain skill, you assist them. And then as they become more independent with the skill, your like the level of assistance that you interact with them goes down. So in this study, she had 3 levels of scaffolding that will help with phonemic awareness. And so she had intense, moderate, and minimum. So to start, we had intense scaffolding. And so what this is where a teacher isolates the first phoneme in a simple word by pointing at it, and then they pronounce the word with the phoneme. And when they say the phoneme, they exaggerate it, and they also point out the shape of one's mouth when they are saying the sound. So at the bottom of the page is an example. And so it says the word is draw, and then in red, she covers up the rest of the word and looks at the phoneme dr, so draw, and she says the sound draw, and she will repeat it and exaggerate it. And then finally, she'll say draw, but she'll pronounce it with extreme emphasis on the dr sound. So she would say something like draw, and then she would keep repeating it until they have an idea of what the dr phoneme sounds like. So that's for intense scaffolding. And then the next level is moderate scaffolding. So this is not as intense need of assistance. So this takes place when there's not as much support is needed as the intense level. The teacher should isolate the phoneme and emphasize the sounds it makes in isolation, and then say the word slightly elongated and emphasize with the phoneme, but not as intense as the previous level. So an example below is the word park. She asked, can you say the P sound? Let's say together, p-ark, park. So they hear the phoneme, but it's not as exaggerated as before. And the final level for scaffolding is minimum level. So this is when the student is near independence and it has the least amount of teacher interference or interaction. So this level takes place when becoming close to independence within the phoneme mastery. So the student does not preface the word by isolating the first phoneme. Instead, she just says the full word, and then when they say it together, they focus on the phoneme some more, but they don't necessarily only look at it. So the example below says flight. So we have the word flight is how she could show it, and then she'll say it together. We're going to say light, flight. So then they know the phoneme F. So that is what scaffolding is.
Okay, class. Today we're going to read The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up, and pop! Out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through 1 apple, but he was still very hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 3 plums, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. On Friday, he ate through 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. That night, he had a stomachache. The next day was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through 1 nice green leaf, and after that, he felt much better. Now he wasn't hungry anymore. And he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house, called a cocoon, around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon and pushed his way out. And he was a beautiful butterfly. All right, class. I want you guys to think about important words that you heard in the story. These can be new words to you. They can be or they can be just important to the story and like the big idea of the story. So why don't you write some down, or you can illustrate them if you want, and then we'll talk about them as a class. Awesome. Jordan, can you share some of your words with us?
I put down butterfly.
Awesome. Did anyone else have butterfly?
I had butterfly.
Perfect. I'm going to put a check mark or a tally mark next to the butterfly because it was a super important word because more than one of us have it. Did you have any other words?
I had salami.
Perfect. What a good word. Did anyone else have salami?
I had salami.
Awesome. Another tally mark. Okay, what words did you have?
I had cocoon.
Cocoon. Good word. Did anyone else have cocoon? No? Awesome. Peyton, did you have any other words?
No, that was it.
Okay. Rachel, what words did you have?
I had caterpillar.
Awesome. Did anyone else have caterpillar? No? Perfect. And you have butterfly too. Did you have another word? No.
No, that's it.
Okay, perfect. So our words were butterfly, salami, cocoon, and caterpillar. Can we talk about why these words are important to the story?
Well, they kind of all go together because a caterpillar goes into a cocoon and then becomes a butterfly, and he ate salami to do
That's awesome.
that.
So as you can tell, going through the important words of the story can really give us the grand scope of the story itself. So even just the 4 words that we came up with as a class can really show us what the main idea of the story was. Good job, class. So to go off the strategy that we demonstrated, there is a continuation to extend the strategy if you so wish, or if you think that your class is at that level where they can understand and comprehend and really do well with it. So for this activity, you can use the charted words that you came up with as a class and create synonyms and antonym lists. So the graphic that I have to the right, I'm pretty sure they came up with a list together, but you can also give your students pieces of paper to write what they think. So if you do this, make a code that it gets a green piece of paper. All of the green pieces of paper have the synonym, and then every student gets a red piece of paper, and all of the pieces of paper have it. That way, when you go to class and talk about the fair share or anything confused on synonyms, and if they are, it is a new